Welcome back to Area DMG. I'm your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth. And for today's episode of Suki Nihon, we are looking at episode 6 of Gravity Falls Season 1, Dipper versus Manliness. Manliness. This is a filler episode. Essentially what happens is there's a side B plot where Mabel tries to fix Grunkle Stan up with Lazy Susan from the diner. And the other part is where Dipper, kind of ashamed of his inability to be manly, decides to run off to the mountains and live with these little minotaurs who are trying to teach him to be manly. To be manly. You know, like punching stuff and eating jerky, and it's an okay joke, I guess. It just doesn't, none of these jokes really work. The whole concept doesn't really work so much. You do get to see the multi-bear, who apparently will be important later on in the series. And let me take a look at my notes here. There's a couple good lines in here. Like, for example, when Dipper meets the Manly Minotaur is all like, I smell emotional issues. Or there's a part there where their big thing is to put their hand into the pain hole to prove their manliness. And at the end of the day, well, Dipper decides, you know, it's better to be himself than to be someone else's idea of what makes somebody, you know, manly or interesting. It's the basic idea here is that he decides that at the end of the day, it's better to stand up for something than to, you know, follow this group of people. He kind of learns a little bit about what being a man actually is, which would be that you do stand up for people who are weaker than you. It's not about like muscles and sweat and other stuff. It's about who you are and how you treat other people. And that sense of justice. And at the end of the day, though, pretty much nobody learns anything. That's fine. It's an okay episode. There's a really good little montage area there that's pretty funny. A couple good jokes. And Kevin Michael Richardson is one of the voice actors in this. And that's interesting. Especially if you're like a fan of the, I think the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If I remember correctly, he was the Shredder in that one. It's kind of interesting. You got some people with, he's one of those people who's got like an evil sounding voice. Which, I love the fact that there's so many different little voice actors that show up in this series. Especially as we get closer to the end of Season 1, there's some pretty interesting voice actors that show up. And overall, I thought it was an okay episode. Not really essential. I just kind of like, it's there. It's an okay way to waste 20 minutes. Well, if you like this episode a lot, tell me in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. And subscribe if you haven't already. And until the next video comes out, you are now caught up.